Hi, everyone. My name is Leah. Thank you so much for tuning in to the final episode of season one, Champions of Discourse Debate This. And today we are hosted again by my sister, the lovely, the amazing Khalah Byers.
Woo woo! Hey y'all. How's it going? And we have here Miss Leah Johnson and also Jeanelle Hope for this
Hello.
season. Jeanelle Hope was our winner of season one of Debate This. So give her props, definitely. And just doing run into the recap of the first season. It's definitely a very good season. If you didn't have the chance to watch it, please be sure to do so. Definitely, I enjoyed it as well. So definitely check it out. It's worth it. All right, so let's get into the first question of our recap. And let's go with Jeanelle first. What got you into competing debate?
What got me into compete? So I went to a high school where I was a freshman at the time, I think, and like our juniors and seniors were on the debate team, and they were killing it my freshman year. I think they won like a national championship, state championship. Like they were just amazing, amazing, amazing debaters. And so seeing them, some of which like went on to be really close friends of mine for years and future debate coaches, they were like an inspiration. Like, you know, they were the athletes that I sort of, looked up to and wanted to be like. And so that played a huge role. I also had really been, thinking about like what did I want to do post high school, and the two major kind of careers that stuck out to me was either I wanted to be an educator, professor, which I ended up being, or a lawyer. And so I knew, debate as an extracurricular activity and a skill would be useful for either of those careers. Debate is useful for me as I lecture. If I wanted to be a lawyer, it would be useful, to me in delivering cases or whatever it may be. So I knew that it was something that, would be beneficial for my own sort of career endeavors. And like those were like my friends also gravitated towards being on the debate team. So it was a natural sort of friend group that was also sort of coming into place and sort of being the sort of next wave of debaters that were going to sort of, I guess, fill up the team after the juniors and the seniors graduated. And I think this is also around the time of that Forrest Whitaker, Denzel Washington, Great Debaters movie. So there was also just like a lot of discussion of like debate within sort of popular culture and like its connections within sort of Black history, and sort of, the prominence of African Americans in mock trial debates, for years. And I mean, I even remember growing up in the 90s and like watching Johnny Cochran like deliver case, and like that was debate to me, and that was so cool. And so yeah, seeing Black folks in sort of, I guess, popular culture, whether it be in these films or like televised court cases that were happening, it was just cool to me how they were just able to spit and flow in a and deliver, strong arguments in such a very eloquent and structured way. So those were some of the things that drew me to debate.
I can dig it. I can dig it. I can dig it. How about you, Leah? What got you into competing debate?
Actually, it was Jeanelle. Not even gonna lie, it was Jeanelle.
Really?
I think because the campus that Jeanelle was on for high school was middle college, and so I went there. I was going there for community college, and happened to. I don't even know how we ran into each other, but she remembered me as Janae's sister, and I was like, oh. No, yeah, you're Janae's friend. Oh, okay, blah, blah, blah. And I think she was telling me about debate. She's like, oh, you should try it. It's good. It's this. You can do all these. She didn't even pitch it to me as debate though. She pitched it to me as like the IEs or individual events of doing poetry or doing persuasive speeches, informative, and all that kind of stuff. And she was like, no, you would be really good. Don't even know if she knows that I'd be really good. It was just another, like, I went in and I was like one of the only other, I was probably the only Black college student, but there were other high school students who were Black who were on there as well. So even though they were younger than me, it was like really cool seeing that representation. And I went to my first debate tournament as a novice and broke, which means I went past preliminary round, and which doesn't happen quite often. But my partner and I at the time were really good. And it was this one judge who was just like, you guys are going to go far. Like, you're going to go really far. And we were only together for like that one tournament, but I kind of I stuck with it. So I mean, parliamentary debate, I did policy debate, and I judged different styles, Lincoln Douglas, public forum, Congress, all of that. But I really like parley debate is probably that's the one that I hold dear to my heart. I love it so much. So yeah, if it wasn't for it, and it wasn't until Jeanelle and I were in Trader Joe's, and Jeanelle, I don't even think you remember this. There were a couple things. Jeanelle was telling me about Trader Joe's and how they have this blue tortilla chip. And this guy was saying, huh?
I was like, I don't remember this at all.
So the reason, this is how I knew that I should try debate. We were talking, and somebody said that we were being overly analytical. While we were talking, we said, I don't think we're being overly analytical. I think we're being analytical, but I don't think to the point where we're being overly analytical. That's kind of an extreme kind of thing to think about. And we end up talking about how we're not overly analytical while being extremely overly analytical. So I was like, I might want to give this debate thing a try. And yeah, tried it, made some good friends. Like, it's been a great time. And yeah.
Nick made me want to debate. Seeing Nick debate. Oh,
I've never seen him debate. Still to this day.
Goodness.
I've never seen him debate.
The fiercest debaters I've ever seen. And Nick made me want to do IEs. I think I saw Nick do a duo and a did I see him do extemp too? That team, I can't even remember the year, probably like 05, 06. The 05, 06 debate team was crazy. Nick was doing, he was debating and just killing it. And then I think he had a duo, and then Orland Turk too that year that he was also performing on I think it was on transgender folks and surgery.
Yes.
It was he wrote a lot of it. It was really heavy. And they swept states and nationals that year. And so seeing Nick do both parliamentary debate and IEs, I was like, this is what I want to do. So yeah, I'm sure they have some of the videos around on campus somewhere, but I remember us just watching them, because we would watch them in English class because they were seniors in Mr. Hoffman's class, and Mr. Hoffman taught I think he taught senior and freshman English or something like that. And so we would just watch them in English class, and I was like, oh yes, I was into this. My other classmates were like, what is this, from time to time, but I was like, oh no, this is it. I like this. I like this here. So yeah.
That was quite a story.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all for sharing. And we'll go with Leah first. What did you think of this season?
I am overly hyped about the season. Like I said, I keep repeating this. Debate is so close to my heart that I'm glad that I have created, because I wanted to be a part of so many different platforms to try to share this, but being able to create my own platform to share what I love is just an amazing feeling. I think this season has been great. It has shown me a lot of people in my circle who do not listen when I make arguments. but also it tells the people who are paying attention. And so I just think this season was great. Like it's been a great first season, and I'm just super excited for the seasons that come after. I think this has just been a great start.
That's good. And how about you, Jeanelle?
This was okay. I'm not on mute. This season was exciting. So this was my first time doing, rounds of debates in a decade. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been about 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I have not debated like this in a long time. After I finished high school. After I finished high school, I didn't do a whole lot of debating because a lot of the schools I went to didn't have what we call forensics or speech and debate teams. I've judged here and there. I have continued to keep some of my IE skills through doing drama and theatrical productions more so because I used to do theater in college. But as far as doing structured debate in this way, I hadn't done it in a while. And so it took me a little while to get in the groove of things, especially when it came, I remembered, how to set up arguments, how to flow, how to deliver those sort of speeches and speak. And, when we talk about, just speaking really fast, that comes very natural to me. But the overall structure, creating the resolutional analysis, getting 15 to 20 minutes of prep time, that took me back. And so it's also good to look back through this season and see how some of those earlier rounds I was like, ugh. But my structure, as we were talking about this last round that we just did a recap on, the ethnic studies round, was like, oh, my structure got better. And that was because I had opportunities to just practice. We were doing four, I think one day we did 5 rounds in Saturday.
Yeah.
And so, but that's what we would do during tournaments.
We were also a lot younger at that. That was 10 years ago. Then we did back-to-back rounds.
It was 10 years ago. And we're sitting on a computer, 10 years ago, we were in suits and, heels, and you're traversing across hotels. I remember for IEs, we used to do IE events. Hopefully they don't do this anymore, in literal hotel rooms, sitting on hotel beds. And so you're just running around all day and doing this. So it brought back memories. But it also, it took me a while to get back in the swing of things of how do you impact out? How do you create resolution analysis? Okay, what are your voters? Thinking about all those criteria, those very specific things to the structure of debate. And we're doing a different type of debate. So I was trained to do parliamentary debate. We're doing some so parliamentary debate, you have a partner. And so you don't do all of this speaking. So I've always debated with a partner. And for the most part, I only had 2 partners. I debated with Adam, and I think I debated with Frank a couple times. So I've always had a partner. So doing debate, one-on-one is different. I think typically that's called a Lincoln Douglas. And I had seen some LD rounds before, and I was like, I might do this. But debate was never that wasn't my main zhuzh. My zhuzh was IEs. And so I was like, I stick with, parley, that's fine. And usually I had a partner who was much more steeped in policy and news, and was just knew all the facts and stuff. And I just came in and was just yeah, all the things that they said, I would just say a lot smoother than they did. And so that was my role. And so now I have to know things, and it's fine. I do know things because I'm a whole decade older and I didn't been through a whole bunch of school, so I can do it now. But when I was younger, that was not Jeanelle. I didn't do extemp speaking. I hated policy stuff. And so this was a different experience because I also had to sit and watch how these new kids do debate. Because debate changes, just like sports change. New rules are introduced and developed and things like that. So it was good just talking to Leah in the beginning, and I was like, what is this? What is this link in the? What is this new debate that folks are doing? Oh, I gotta see. Okay, all right. What is? How do you lay it out? So that was a little bit of a challenge, but a good one.
I just realized that in Parley, we are considerably the same person because I was good with embellishments. Oh, you give me a piece of a half of a fact? Oh, I can embellish the mess out of that. I can make a whole 10-minute speech out of that. But it's can you hear?
You
hear me?
Yeah, now you
Okay,
cut
now
off a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I think that's part of also coming out of the Black church and like hearing people preach and like you can take 3 sentences of a Bible verse and you have a whole 2-hour sermon and it's no lie.
Right.
You could take such and such has the strength of a mustard seed, and just based off of the strength of the mustard seed, you will be in the pew for an hour and a half talking about that same mustard seed in every different facet that you could. This person got a mustard seed, they got a mustard, how the mustard seed look. And so for me, like that's what I would do once Adam or somebody threw me a fact and was like, no, this is not right based on this, and you just run with it. And you fill up a whole 7-minute or however long speech you got.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah. I think I was like, it didn't click until just now. I was like, no wonder. But I think that when I was in Parley, I was that person. But then it changed in policy because in policy, I had to be a technical person, even though and policy is debate, but with evidence. So the rounds are a lot longer. In Parley debate, your rounds are 40 minutes. In policy debate, your rounds can be up to 2 hours. And it's like everybody speaks twice. Everybody has evidence to read. You have to read evidence against somebody else's evidence. There's cross-ex. It's a lot. And they talk upwards of 200 words a minute, which needless to say is very fast. And so I think the fastest ones are like 350 words a minute or something like that. And so, but
that's gotta be ridiculous to flow. And those are the people who like I didn't like to build out our extemp file. Like I imagine policy debate, just like extemp speaking, you're only as good as your file.
Yes.
And like that's a whole other level of like prep. So for parliamentary debate, we only usually get about 20 minutes of prep time. For extemp speaking, you're prepping before you even come in the round. You're prepping for weeks and months before you come in around. I mean, this is, I don't even know how do people still carry around extemp files like how we used to print out papers, or do they have like all this shit on the iPad?
Have USB drives, like flash drives. Yeah, because everybody's technologically all that kind of stuff, but they still do have like tubs and stuff.
We used to have tubs that we would bring with us full of printed out articles and data sheets and statistics and just different facts that you would have to scour the internet off of. You would look up like, what are the top, resolutions, or topics, if we were talking about, I remember when I was debating and doing IEs, the drought in California was like a big topic. So you would just stack your entire extemp file with all these articles on like California drought. And so you have to do all of that stuff as homework, like for weeks and months before a tournament. And then when you get there, you go through all of these files and try and find, articles to support your extemp speech or your policy debate. And for me, that was just too much. And then if you was on a team and you had like a shitty extemp file, you just would do poorly all of the time. So you were only as good as your extemp file. And so I was like, I'll take the 20-minute prep. I don't need to be doing all this extra extemp prep work. It's so much work. I mean, I take my hats off to folks who do policy debate and extemporaneous speaking, but it's a lot of prep work.
No lie.
It's constant prep.
Oh, no lie. Aside from the, speaking, spreading like really fast, because I think I did fairly well, a little bit above average in policy debate. I was surprised when I was picked to go to nationals. I was very surprised for policy, but Extemp was bad when I was doing IEs. We didn't have our extemp file. I'm calling people on campus because I'm like, my round starts in like less than 30 minutes. I only have 20 minutes of prep. I need to get my files together. Could not locate anyone on the team to find out where our tub is because it's not in the usual place, right? So I had to use my old Nokia. This is before smartphones, right? I had to use my old Nokia that slid up with the QWERTY keyboard to search on that web browser for Bloomberg reports for my speech. It was a 7-minute speech that I only had 20 minutes to prepare because the first 10 minutes I was spent looking for the files. So that the amount of stress and that, I mean, I think that tournament, I mean, I placed very well just because I'm able to embellish a lot and like the judges love me because I can do that very well. I placed third or fourth in that tournament. But it like Jeanelle said, it can be rather stressful. It can be like super stressful.
That's a lot.
It is. But that's why I enjoy Parley Debate, because Parley Debate, it's literally pay attention to the world around you.
Yes.
Like that's the difference between Parley Debate and the other styles debate. Pay attention to the world around you and how things affect you. Are you able to critically think about that information and be a change agent, or give us a reason why the status quo should stay the same? Are you able to see further than 5 years down the line to show what kind of impacts this has?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I love it.
It's not for me. That's a lot of work. It's hard enough already trying to prep for 20 minutes for a 7-minute. I'm like, wait, I forgot to say this. Like that would be for you, Jeanelle, what was your favorite and least favorite part of the season?
Oh, I really enjoyed, my favorite part of the season was the judges, because a lot of the judges were folks, you know, that I grew up with and haven't gotten to see, that I, you know, folks that I know or know. I just haven't seen in years, or because of COVID, I haven't seen in a few months. So it also has been like, you know, an excuse to kind of get on the, what is this called? Not Zoom, the
StreamYard.
The StreamYard, and see folks. So like I got to see, you know, Dominique and Danielle. Dominique and I, you know, before I moved to Texas, we kicked it tough. And so I would see her, you know, like every couple of months. Haven't seen either of them, you know, face to face in a long time, other than just picking up the phone, Dominique and Danielle. Same with I haven't seen Jendai in a while, you know. So the distance with COVID, and being able to see folks that you haven't seen in a while and talk to them, you know, pre and post round, but also interact with them in this way, which is a different way. You know, I don't think Jendai has ever judged a debate round between us. I think this is something new, certainly. Yeah. And so getting to interact with folks in this capacity, you know, during this time was really fun. I hadn't seen y'all's mom in years, and so getting to, you know, see her and talk with her briefly was really great. I haven't seen your brother in like decades. I remember he visited from Florida like one year when y'all was still living in Hercules, and I think the first time I met him. So just super long, super long. So it's good to see people. And then also like hearing how they judge is always interesting too, because you never know with like lay folks who don't have, you know, any sort of judging experience, like trying to figure out how invested they'll be in it if they flowed. Like I think your aunt, was it your aunt? She has like the longer brown hair. Mm-hmm. She was one of my favorite judges. She was very sweet. She gave really good feedback. So yeah, I my favorite part was the judges and just, you know, seeing the interact with folks was always cool. You said my least favorite part.
Least favorite.
I think, you know, it's a good thing, but it also just was like a looming cloud, is that I think we filmed most of this season during the summer when like there was a lot of like social unrest with, you know, the George Floyd protests, sort of a lot of sort of Trump fascism with what was happening in Portland and stuff like that. And so a lot of those topics influenced and shaped some of the resolutions that we had, and also shaped some of the debates that we had as well. And so it's, you know, it's hard to be on the opposition side of a debate around, you know, the protests aren't working, or, you know, I think there was another resolution and, you know, the Black community needs a leader, or what was it? Even this ethnic studies debate, because that's something that's very close to my work, and, you know, it's a movement that's happening now. And so I won't say it was my least favorite, but it certainly was like, this isn't, you know, the fun debate topics that we would do as practice of, you know, vanilla ice cream is better than chocolate, or even some of the lighter stuff around sort of popular culture. The lightest thing we got around popular culture was talking about, you know, Candace Owens and Kanye West being absolutely ridiculous anti-Black folks. And so it's just like, it's the fact that you actually have to like talk about some of these things that are Candace Owens and Kanye West absolutely ridiculous, but knowing that like, shit, this is actually happening in the real world today. Like, these people actually exist. Or, you know, even having to debate and talk through, you know, protests that were unfolding, and debating, you know, just having to talk about that topic and reflecting on, you know, what folks are going through, and who is and who, you know, what officers are and are not going to prison, and just hearing yourself talk about this as you are experiencing and processing it. That was a lot. I won't say it was my least favorite part of the season, but it was something to like, it was something else to like sit with and wrestle with. So yeah.
My favorite part was the amount of support that I received from the judges, from Jeanelle. Consistently, I hit up Jeanelle, hey, you know, are we like, I think that with so much going on, like Jeanelle mentioned, we started doing this in June. And it was like just like the bubbling up of the protests and all the things that have been going on. We started like just conceptualizing what it would look like. And then in July, that's like was the height of all the protesting. And this was my creative outlet. So even with everything going on, I appreciate the support that you know, this has received from all the judges, from everybody who has participated, you know, and I don't want to start calling people because I know I'm going to forget someone, but I just appreciate that, you know, everyone showed support, that everyone was there, that we did receive a lot of love, a lot of great feedback. And even though this is like my passion project, this is what I really love to do. I appreciate that everybody else, even if they don't have the same love for debate that I do, they still came out, they still judged, they still showed up. And I think that it was great. And even like, I'm checking in with Jeanelle, like, are you good? Are you okay? Like, can we do this? You know, things like that. And Jeanelle's like, yeah, sure. Whatever, just show me what you want me to do. And I mean, she came in with that just like mentality and had it for the entire season. And so I just definitely appreciate all of that. My least favorite part was, I think, scheduling, because like Jeanelle said, we would schedule 5-6 rounds in one day, and these rounds were back to back. They were not, and each round was about an hour long, and so it was from 12 to about 6 o'clock, just back to back rounds. No breaks really. Not a lot of time that was downtime. And so we're talking, we're arguing, we're like trying to keep ourselves energized and keep ourselves like going, being very passionate about each topic, and some topics vary widely. And so by the time, I think we even had to redo Danielle's round, because we were just gassed. Like we had nothing else left. And so I was just like, this round is just semantics. What are we we're gonna have to redo this, which we end up doing. But I just, I definitely just, I think that next season, I would like to probably space it out over a few weeks as opposed to try to get everything done in one day, because then at least we can do the recaps with the judges to get a better understanding of where they're coming from. I think that that is one thing as far as feedback that I've received from some of the judges.
Appreciate you sharing that. And for you, Leah, do you think people should learn this skill? Why or why not?
I think there are a lot of skills when it comes to competitive debate. I think debate, period, as argumentation, should be taught in school because it teaches critical thinking and listening skills and understanding sending and receiving messages, and knowing that there's a perception with different words used, different phrases used to evoke certain emotions, or understanding the way a person understands or thinks about information. So I think that this is a very important skill. That's why I enjoy doing it, like teaching people and showing them. I think it's a very important skill to learn, because within the skill of debate, you learn a multitude of other skills that are then transferable to other areas in life. So short answer, yes, everyone should learn this skill because it can help you be a better critical thinker and more effective in your communication with other people.
And how about yourself, Jeanelle?
Absolutely. I think it is, as Leah mentioned, great for sort of on your toes thinking, critical thinking in particular, thinking about how you structure arguments, respond to them. I think in a day of, an era of just rampant social media and people just like shooting the shit online, the rigor in sort of discussions is lacking.
Yeah.
And I think absolutely something that you can take away from the structure of the debate that would especially be meaningful and helpful as a skill for folks. So absolutely.
I agree too. It's definitely the fun side of it as well, and just be able to say what I want to, well, not say what I want to say, but also be able to back it up. So I like that aspect of it.
Yeah, and really quick, I think that another thing that I think is lost is that when we to Janelle's point, when we argue online or when we come to contentious points online, it's never based in, okay, let's find our starting point and figure out where we divide. It's always opposition, 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 opposition. It's never, okay, well, what do we agree on first? Like in the rounds, we always establish, what is our resolutional analysis? What are we upholding, and things like that. And so I think that learning this would help people find that starting point so that we can realize that, like, we do have a lot more similarities than we do differences, that we can get to the meat of differences instead of arguing around semantics or the way you said something or things like that.
For you, Jeanelle, what is one thing you want people to take away from the season?
One thing I want people to take away. Let me think about this one. I think it will go back to kind of what I was just talking about of, sitting and thinking through how you respond to disagreements, different positions, and conflict that may arise, different forms of verbal conflict, which create these tensions that play out as we see in debates. How can you develop critical responses, right? Thinking about the impacts, thinking about, is this a strong, counterpoint that's impacted out throughout, I want folks to take that away, because I certainly think that sort of critical thinking and applying it to how you respond to someone on social media or even within your own papers. I'm thinking about my own students who, may disagree with a essay prompt that I create, or, a topic that they have to research. How can you think about how you would apply the skill of debate to offering counterpoints or responding to some of these issues? So that's something that a skill that I want folks to take away is how to develop very strong counterpoints and arguments, and fleshing them out, and having them rooted in something, not just something anecdotal, or for God's sake, things that just don't exist, or the what ifs, which I think we see a lot of today in society. But yeah, that's my main takeaway for folks.
And how about you, Leah?
I do get very frustrated with the whataboutisms, and because it's one thing that I would want people to take away is that it's good to have an ideal. It's good to have ideologies that you hold to, faith that you hold on to, or something that you believe in. But understand why you believe in it. If you only believe in it because your mother taught you, or your teacher told you, or because somebody at the barbershop said you should believe in this thing, without you really challenging or wrestling with that idea, then anyone can come in and tell you anything and knock you off what we call your blocks, that you're just reading a canned speech or regurgitating what has been told to you. So this season, I really want people to really take away that regardless of anything else, make sure you have solid ground to stand on, so that when you are arguing against someone, you're not worried about shifting, or you don't have to point to other things to say, well, yes, I believe in education for all, and it should be public and free and all that kind of stuff. But then when somebody asks you something about how it's going to be done, you don't say, well, what about this? What about that? No, if you believe in something, understand why you believe in it, stand firm in it, and talk about the thing. Don't talk about other things that have nothing to do with it. Don't be evasive. Don't be elusive. Don't be combative. Don't be dismissive. Believe what you believe and state the reason why. And you don't have to explain yourself to everyone, but if you ever come into contact because if you live long enough, you're going to have a time where what you believe is going to come in contact with something that challenges it. Just make sure that you understand why you believe that thing. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, ladies, Leah and Jeanelle, for giving us the recap of season 1 of Debate This. I appreciate you both. Be sure to check it out on YouTube. Is it on all platforms? Or just
YouTube and Facebook. Yeah.
Oh, be sure to check out the episodes on YouTube and Facebook. We will greatly appreciate it. Also, leave a review as well, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.